Hello, everybody, and welcome Paranormal Nation Radio, your not so normal radio show. And we got a special guest there in the arms.
Yep, our tiniest paranormal investigator.
That's right.
So,
And she can probably see him and talk to him better than you can.
quite possibly.
Hey,
That's if she's interested in it. Half the
that's
time
what-
she's
that's
not.
what we've always told about little kids.
Yeah, I sometimes when I talk to her, sometimes it seems like she's my mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's just something about how she acts sometimes that reminds me of my mother. And my mom died right after 18 hours or 36 hours after Ruby was born.
Right.
And so I never even thought to maybe say Ruby reminds me of my mom. But there's stuff about this kid here that she does stuff that reminds me of mom.
Maybe mom waited around knowing there was a little girl coming in the family.
Well, in my family, she would probably just have assumed that there had been a girl coming.
I know
eventually.
Yeah,
But,
it took a long time to get the boys into the family.
Yeah, Ruby was the first one in 52 years.
Yeah.
In the Pridemore family. In my family, he wasn't. We had all of the grandkids except for mine were boys.
Right.
Except for one, and that was Sarah. And you've heard Sarah on the show before when I had on Barbara Patrone.
Right.
And Elizabeth Chrisman, who was on that same show, her brother died yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was sudden. And it wasn't, he didn't take his own life. It was just, he had been sick. So,
right.
But other than that,
Hello to Nick and Gary. Welcome
yes, hi,
to the
guys.
show.
And Clover's thinking she might say hi. That's about it. But,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's just certain things about this kid, about exactly like how she's so attached to me and stuff. I just never dreamt that I would have this kind of an attachment to a grandchild. So
that's what we thought all the time. But when Cassidy was born and everything, yeah, that all changed.
So
she was closer to us than she was her mom and dad.
I remember when she used to come around so much. So hello, Nigel, and hello, Christopher.
And to keep you informed, I didn't know if you've seen that on Facebook or not, but she did go down to Children's Mercy and get an EEG and another test done yesterday.
Okay, good.
When are they going to find the results on that?
You're dealing with Children's Mercy, so hard to tell.
Right. But at least they know what they're doing.
Right. So anyway, we have a guest waiting down here in our green room.
Yes, we do. And I'd like to welcome Greg Koss to the show. And apparently somebody's not getting it that I'm off work.
Oh.
I'll be back.
Okay. It never fails during the show. It's either a kid or work.
Oh, yeah.
But that's all right. So how's Greg doing today?
Greg's doing good. Doing awesome. Actually, I'm on a sabbatical right now because I've taken the last 2 weeks off.
Oh,
because
really?
I have two shows, and I work with two groups, and it gets it got a little overwhelming about a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
as far as because one of the shows is a metaphysical crossing, and it deals with all spirit box work, Estes method, and things like that. We would do it live, and we would do doubles and triples, and it's surprising to think that under those circumstances, that from here to Missouri to Minnesota or to Rhode Island, that it would magnify. the responses, and just the draw from the spirit. And it was pretty awesome. We've had a lot of fun with it, but there's times that weird things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably a direct correlation with what we were doing, to say the
Right.
least.
Well, that just goes to show the spirits can go to one location to another several 100,000 miles away or whatever in a fraction of a second. You know.
There's one lady here from Virginia right now, Anne Marie Young, that's a member of a group of people that are part of Bigfoot and the Bunny and Dark Horse Paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And Anne Marie's a psychic medium, and she's part of this little group that we have on the side. That every time they do a show, we have an after show, and we get together. And she's an awesome lady.
Awesome. Awesome. But yeah,
She's
I know what you mean. When I first started the Paranormal Nation radio show by myself, I was using Echo Box and different devices and everything here. They started answering the people in the chat room before I could even read the message.
right before they
I
got
mean,
the question.
it's
Right?
amazing.
Yep.
Even the dowsing rods, the people were asking questions and doing that. I had one lady in Denver, Denver, Colorado, a very good veteran friend of mine, that they were out looking for her brother-in-law and they couldn't find him. She started asking the questions in the chat room. The echo box and the dowsing rods kept telling them to go right, because they'd been up where he'd been hiking and it splits and he always went to the left. So that's where they kept searching. That weekend, she went up there and got to the Y, which isn't a real good path, and said, everybody, we're going to go to the right and check. 300 yards down the road, they found his remains
Wow.
and everything. She contacted me and said, we would have never have thought that if the echo box and the dowsing rods together wouldn't have led us that direction. So, yeah, I mean, it's amazing that the spirits can talk between people like we are right now on this show, back and forth.
As soon as Denise gets here, I was going to go ahead and mention about what had happened to us at Farrar School
Mm-hmm.
in Iowa, and it was the same kind of thing where back in the day when it wasn't. I was probably into it for about 3 years, and this was at least 2 years ago. It was pre-COVID, and we had gone ahead and went into the Farrar School, and we went down into the boiler room, and we went ahead and we were going to do a double Estes, and I was going to film it and everything. So we had the camera all set up, and we had the girls. They were going to go ahead and just record everything. And we started going into the session, and for about 2 weeks before that, we had run into issues with what we were hearing, and it was white noise. And above the white noise, there was this ticking. And I brought this up on a few shows, and it was, at first I thought it's Morse code, and then I'm going, I don't know. And then I can remember seeing a special on the satellite stuff where they were going out to Saturn and Mars and all that stuff with that satellite. And they kept on going ahead and saying, this is the sound that space makes. And then that's when it hit. And it sounded almost identical to the way that ticking was going on. And I went, wow. So from that point and what happened at Farrar School, my partner bailed 15 minutes in on Estes method. He couldn't handle it. he couldn't handle it anymore, and he went ahead and came out and said, this is too much. There's something going on. And I says, maybe it is alien, And he said, I don't know. So there was a round table discussion that was being done on, some of the big guys from ITC, and they all went ahead and they were talking, and it was the Halties, and it was Tim I can't, Woolworth, and these were all big people. And I asked the question. I told them exactly what had happened, and I says, "What do you think it was?" And they were looking at each other across the table, and both of them started to smile. And there were like 6 guys in the room, and they smiled at each other, and they both went and said, "Isn't that what Frank was all about?" And I went, now I know. My path as far as my psychic mediumship was concerned was going off on I was taking a slight right, and I was going exactly where I should have been going according to what had happened. And I started going ahead and doing a lot more on that end of it as far as that was concerned, because it was really amazing what it was happening. And it was sort of answering some of the questions that I had pertaining to myself. And at that point, I was going ahead and saying, wow, this would be absolutely awesome if I could talk to my guides. You know what I mean? And, through a spirit box, and it was like, yeah, well, at that point, it wasn't out of reach, I thought. So that's how that all happened. And it was like, wow, I'm going to keep on going. I have, as far as investigating is concerned, just put me in a room, give me my spirit box, or if we're doing an Estes, we'll do an Estes or something like that. My psychic abilities, or even my mediumship, as far as my senses are concerned, and my clairs, I've worked and worked and worked at this, and then all of a sudden there it was. And it wasn't anything I had worked on. You know what I mean? I was going off in that direction, and whether I wanted to or not.
Right.
But Scotty Rourke, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Scotty said to me, because I talk to him every week, and Scotty is my mentor. And Scotty says, well, I've got the feeling down the road you will be coming back on the full track. And I says, how is that possible? And he just said, I just have that feeling. And I says, well, I have to keep more of an open mind than I am now. Hi, Denise.
Hi. Thank God you guys couldn't hear all that.
What do we got going on here?
Oh, we have art lessons going on right now.
You should have sent me a couple pieces of paper and a couple crayons, and I could have joined in.
So, yep, she's coloring and everything.
She's really pretty.
Yes, she is. So, and what we were talking about before, she looks just like one of my kids, like her mother. I mean, right. Exactly like her mother at this age.
Uh-huh.
So, no wonder I feel so close to this kid. Not to mention she is shoved all the way up my ass. And,
yeah.
But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, that's cool.
And she knows it too. That's the funny part. Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
We all get attracted to one of them, down the road. Mine are. Three of them helped me go ahead and bring wood to the house today.
Well, good. I'm glad you didn't do that by yourself.
Full of oak. Well, I was hemming and hawing on it. And, I want to burn a lot this winter, so I have I have some wood that I have to make sure I get rid of because it's at its end.
Yeah.
Once it gets to that point, it just burns. Sometimes it burns too fast. It doesn't do much.
It doesn't put out the heat.
This still has some weight, but I'm going by the amount of years of it since I cut it. So
Right.
and split it. So I have one older part, and then I have a newer part, and they're apart. They're a quart a piece.
Yeah.
But, I've been lazy the last 2 years, COVID especially, where I should have been burning more. I wasn't. So.
Well, we all do what we're going to do. I mean, whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, we're all just going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
As to what's convenient for us at that time, So, I don't know. I miss not having a wood stove.
Oh, so do I.
So looky here.
I love my wood stoves, but my wife don't.
I had 2 of them, and I had the good one. The good one was the one that was upstairs, and it was a Vermont castings, and it was a real beautiful stove, and it could heat. It would heat the whole upstairs.
Oh yeah.
But what it did was it threw the thermostat off in the hallway that went back to our bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So our bedroom was like the morgue.
Yep, we have. We set up downstairs. We put a blanket over the hallway down there.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get that cold, and we have one set of pipes that freezes up every winter. So I told Lauren, I said, now that you're down here, I said, once it gets below 17 it's like once it's below 17 for 2 or 3 hours, those pipes freeze.
In your basement?
Huh?
In your basement?
In my downstairs, not in my basement. My house is set up. I got the basement, the first floor, the second floor, the third floor.
Right.
And they did not, it's on the outside of the house. So it's in concrete on the outside of the house.
Oh.
So needless to say, and it's facing east.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't get anything but morning sun.
Right.
So it freezes up. We put a heater in there to heat the pipes when when we have to do that.
Right.
I hate to be the person who buys this house after we leave. But we put up a flannel sheet across the doorway there, so when she heats up her heater in her room, it'll heat the whole area. The bad part is the 4 dogs might get overheated.
They'll be all right. They're small.
No, they're big.
Oh.
Actually, there's a Chihuahua to a Black Lab.
Oh.
So they're in whatever. The one's a miniature husky.
Wow.
And the other is a Australian sheepdog.
The
So-
miniature husky might get overheated.
Yeah. She said they're used to being in a house with a wood stove that keeps it at 90 degrees. So,
Hi, Rudy.
safe.
Hi, buddy.
Okay. It keeps them quiet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're going to do something to make sure that we're nice and toasty since we don't have a wood stove. I have another heater behind us, and that one there, like I was telling Lauren the other day, I said, if I put this heater on, the thermostat's not going to kick on. So you guys are going to be extra cold.
Right.
So I try really hard to make sure that everybody's nice and toasty. But
Well, the next few days, you're going to have to keep everything
on.
warm because we're going into a deep freeze.
Yep, we're having an Arctic blast. And I was talking to Susan this morning, Susan Roberts, and I asked her how does she, she's going to be living in the South Pole and we're going to be living in the North Pole.
Yeah.
So it's going to suck.
Okay.
Do you know that this is going to be our coldest Christmas Eve since I've lived here?
Since 1983.
We moved here in 84.
Yep. 83 was a cold Christmas.
We lived in Blytheville, Arkansas The roads froze with 3 to 4 inches of ice, and Ron could not get to the base.
Yep.
He backed up. He had a Monte Carlo. Okay, they don't have front wheel drive. So he kept backing up and getting a running start, backing up further, and he would stop in front of the trailer every time. And it's like, you're not going anywhere.
Well, I know. 1980, I was in the Army at Fort Riley, Kansas, which there's no trees out there to block anything.
No, it's horrible out there.
Right. And I was home for the Christmas holidays and stuff, and bought me a 67 Camaro. It had 50s on the back, skinny tires on the front, air shocks on the back. And I drove it out there, and just as I got to Junction City, the snowstorm hit. Trying to get up on Custer Hill out there at Fort Riley. Oh my God. That was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Had to be.
Yeah.
In 84, that winter of 84, here, it was actually it wasn't 84, it would have been 85. Here in Kansas City, we lived by KU Med, and I had to go up to KCK, which just up 7th Street there, up Rainbow. I'm coming back, and all these cars are on the wayside because there's a hill, and that hill was really steep. None of these cars are making up. We lucked out. I had a 65 Impala, not the SS one that we had, the 2-door. We had the 4-door, so it was a tank. It was even tank colored.
Yep.
It was a brown 4-door heavy thing. I was the only person that I saw that made it up that hill until the salt trucks showed up.
That thing was great in the snow.
How you doing, Ron?
Them big old cars.
Good, Greg. How you doing?
Good.
Them big old cars, if you grew up with them, you could get around anywhere in rear-wheel drive.
Yep.
We all learned how to do that.
Yeah,
Now
we used
they
to
all
rat
got
race in
front-wheel drive cars and stuff. Put
You ever
one in
do
a
that?
rear-wheel drive car, they'll be off the road in 2 seconds.
You guys ever do that? Rat race in the snow?
Yep.
Yep. That was fun.
But Charles said it's going to be 7 degrees in Central Texas on Christmas Eve
Man.
night.
Christmas Eve here is what? It's not the coldest day this week, but the day before is.
Right.
That's not
But
right.
Christmas Eve is supposed to be 8 degrees with 0 that night. It's still going to be cold.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And 30 to 50 mile an hour winds, which could put us to 40 below 0 wind chill.
Yep. Well, Greg's going to be seeing it too,
Yep.
if not worse.
Yeah, you got it coming in too up there.
Yeah.
I wonder what the high will be in International Falls.
You know, I've got people up there, but
I bet
I
it's a
haven't talked to
negative
them.
number.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
They're making. They're already out. They're already out on the ice.
Oh,
They've been on
really?
the ice for about 10 days now.
Mm.
And the road's going in. The road, I think last Monday the road was going in. They have the road that goes from Morrison all the way across.
Oh, the ice road?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
that was already. They're already going ahead and starting that last week.
Wow.
One of the
Oh,
guys
wow.
that I've had on, his name is Bud Steed. She's now writing on her shirt. So just so you guys know, I know she's writing on her shirt. Bud Steed is an ice road trucker, and he's also a paranormal author. You remember when I had him on? He was talking about that.
Yep.
This is his time of year. He loves it.
You see, not only that, but that's a great location. I've been on there for probably 40 years. I mean, every year I've been out there, and I have locations that going back 20, 25 years ago, we'd go by an island and there'd be a path coming down, where all the animals come down to drink. And that's got 10,000 islands on it. So, and you look at it and it's got trees that are about this big around on both sides of this path. and somebody snapped them off at like 6 feet off the ground, and they were all like this, like a giant gate.
Huh.
And I'd
Huh.
go, Mothman, and he'd go,
Well-
no, that's Bigfoot.
Are you
And
sure?
they start off back in the day,
Back
Yeah.
in the day, but
and
Yeah,
we would
Bigfoot
talk
could
about
have
that,
done
like
it.
that. And it was like, and every year still, like this last year we went there. We're in the same general area, and we just saw another 2 islands like that. Now who's doing it?
Yeah. Somebody who's driving over there in the winter when it's
I don't
icy.
know. I'd say you got a
I'd be
better
going
shot
out
of
there
seeing
in
a
the
Bigfoot
summertime
than a
and putting me up a wireless trail cam to keep an eye and see what exactly is going on.
No, you got so many, the thing about it is, today with what you've got with the GPS, it's a lot easier than it was back then,
Yeah.
because you could hardly even find one of those islands. There were so many of them. And my navigator he was the guy he had more sense than I did. I'd get lost in a closet, let alone on a giant lake like that.
Oh,
And he
yeah,
would-
because there's nothing out there.
Right.
Yeah. To go off them.
But when we got GPS, everything changed.
Oh yeah.
And they still don't have it right.
Well, it's pretty close right now. It's within 15 feet.
And some places.
Well,
I
up
used to
there
be
it
on
is.
a fire department in Polo down here, and we'd use GPS when we get a call to go in,
Yeah.
and it would lead us to the wrong road every
Oh.
time. Luckily, we knew the roads.
Then why
When
would
you have
use
two
GPS?
roads named almost the same, GPS gets it mixed up.
Well, GPS at one time wouldn't find your cemetery.
Right.
Yeah.
I
And
believe that.
up here, we've got M Highway that goes out by the conservation.
Mhm.
When it floods up here, GPS leads the truckers in a route. 2 years ago, it led 5 trucks down the blacktop onto a gravel road that went around the curve, and the first 2 idiots decided to drive in 8 foot of water.
Wow.
What about whatever happened to turn around, don't drown?
They didn't. You ought to seen the other trucks trying to back up this gravel road.
Yeah. Hey, Reginald,
I
We're-
don't use a map.
we're with you.
I don't use GPS.
We still use atlases, and we use GPS when we don't have the atlas with us, and then I hear him bitch the whole time. So
Reggie's here.
I'll use GPS when I'm in local area in a good town. Not these little rural communities. They haven't got it out here that great yet.
yeah. Did
That
you?
one lady, she
Say
followed
hi to
her
Carl.
GPS to a T. She drove right through a golf course. These guys were teeing off. They come up over the hill, right as they're teeing off. They're like, "What?"
Uh-huh.
She goes, "That's where it told me to go." Like, really?
Yeah, but when it told me to go to the golf course, what did I do?
In the golf course?
I
On the 4th tee? Yeah, okay.
No, in my case, my GPS was telling me to turn into the golf course,
Well,
and I said, "This can't be right."
I
was
guess
going
in
away
her
from the
defense,
hills.
she did have about 5 or 6 vodkas that day, but
Well, that
Yeah, it
helps
had
with the
something to do with it.
GPS.
Well, it helps. It helps the crash.
Yeah.
You're not too tight.
It helps
when you-
with her arguing with it.
yeah.
Turn left. I can't. Turn left.
And you know what the big thing was? I don't know about you guys, but the TomTom, when that came
Oh,
out,
yeah.
that was an idiot machine.
That
Yes.
thing was horrible.
Who made that?
Dale,
A guy named Dum Dum.
What?
Yeah,
what-
Dale-
Tom.
Dale Kazmarek, when we ride with him,
Dale
we'd
was a
be
nice guy.
Yeah, he is. And we would be going along, and we'd be we'd be down in Indiana. We were going east. We were going west from Atlanta, from the roads, and we're going across. And he says we're going to find this cemetery. And he's looking at his TomTom, and we come to this end, and it looked like a little dirt road, and it
Yep.
was the one that the farmers used to go ahead and get their equipment in to go ahead and plow the fields. And we're in the middle of a cornfield,
Yep.
Yeah.
and it's got us there. It's like, what?
Yeah, I was up in Seattle training. There was about 4 of us, and we had the weekend off. And the one guy, he's going to be a field tech too, and he says, "I might as well go ahead and get my GPS now, so I can start playing around with it." And he goes, "We'll use it to find our way around Seattle." We're like, "Okay." Well, he's in the back seat. We're going downtown for something. He says, "I'm going to use my dum-dum to show you where it is." It's like, okay, well, I know where I'm going, but fire away. And the exit that I need to get off, we'd already passed it.
Yeah.
But I knew a better way anyway. So we'd go by the exit, and this dum-dum would say, I mean, we'd be past it by 2 miles, and his dum-dum would say, "Turn right at exit, whatever." And the other guy's looking at me, he goes, "We just passed that exit." I said, "Oh, I know, that thing works great." He goes, "Well, I got to fine tune it and all this stuff." I said, "Man, you need to just take that dum-dum back." I said, "It's not a tom-tom, it's a dum-dum." And that thing sucked. You couldn't find nothing.
Oh, I know. It's
I don't
like
know if they still make them.
Who makes
when
them?
me and Randy
I don't
drove
know.
from
Dum-dum.
here.
That's what we call it, because they couldn't. You'd be past all the exits. I'd be taking the right exit, and I get in the exit up on the road, and it would say exit to the right. Okay, we've already done that.
Well, it's like when me and Randy drove from here to Ashmore using Google Maps.
Yeah.
It led us there.
Ooh.
When me and Gary drove from
Yep.
here to Ashmore, right? When me and Randy drove, it was the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So when me and Gary drove during the day to get out there, that damn thing led us through every cornfield,
Oh, yeah.
Because of
road,
traffic,
and gravel road, and down this little bitty blacktop that I thought was somebody's driveway at one time. We finally got out there, and I was like, "Oh, we ain't going back that way."
Nope.
Yeah, there's been a lot of crazy machines, and Dale would never get rid of his.
I
I
mean,
was going, you might as well just pull out the old paper map and take that, because it's a lot. At least it's
Oh,
true.
that thing was horrible.
exactly.
And Tom
He did take it back. He went out. He took another car out and tried it later on that night. They got lost. They couldn't find their way around nothing. He goes, "Oh, I'm taking this TomTom back." I said, "No."
And it's what's
I'm
funny
done.
is these guys build technology items and everything all the way through there, and they can't get it right. But look at our paranormal equipment. A lot of them's getting it right. That makes you wonder if the scientific
Right.
IPC part is messed up.
No, you would wonder. That's for sure.
Yeah, you would.
It makes you a lot wiser on what you pick, and what you've worked with, and what's good to you and what's not good to you.
And that's it right there. A lot of paranormal people rely on one piece of equipment. You
Right,
have
and you
to
can't.
diversify and go to different equipment at different locations if something isn't working right,
Right.
Right.
and try to get the same information off 2 different devices completely.
I'll tell you, there's places where we've been where no technology
Works.
works at all.
Right.
Housing rods is about it.
And I don't know if it's because the spirits are just so used to dowsing rods. I mean, every once in a while, we would try communicating with a candle, the low technology things.
Okay.
But
Sometimes it worked.
yeah, sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't.
I mean, well, we've been to places where the echo box didn't pick up nothing. It
Right.
was silent.
Yep.
We've had that happen. We've
Yep.
had it where,
It didn't work.
right, the other devices were silent.
You know Len Dorman?
the name sounds familiar. I've never
He was
talked to him.
He was from the south side of Chicago. He does this Southern Fried Paranormal
Mhm.
and he's from down in Arkansas. He's been operating out of there now for about maybe 6 or 7 years from the south side here.
Mhm.
And I've been with him quite a few times on his show, and he always talks about that. And he has an echo box, and he would die. He would die if somebody took it. He's that fond of it.
Well, I tell you, we've had great luck with it.
For something that's not supposed to make a word
Right.
and it makes sentences.
We've had way too many things happen that just, I don't know. It's,
I mean, some of it you got to listen real close to what it's saying. Other times it comes out as plain as what we're talking.
One of the suggestions I've always told people with Echovox is don't use the recorder in it.
no.
Use a separate recorder to record your sessions, because you may hear something that's totally different outside of its recording.
Right.
And I've never been able to get one of the recordings to replay.
Right. Even the inventor of it, Daniel.
Yeah, he said no.
Don't, if you use the recording, also have another device to record it.
Right.
Because you can't rely on the recordings on your phone or your tablet.
Right.
You see that Kristen Johnson's in the room?
I saw that. And hello, Kristen. And thank you so much. This is our granddaughter. But she does look exactly like her mom.
Yeah.
Her mom was this age. So.
And she's
They're
good.
great. They're great friends of ours. I work with them quite a bit. They're part of the ITC, where we have the rotating guests
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
from the different towns. It's a lot of fun.
And that's a good show because, like you said, you've got everybody from different towns, different states, and spirits communicate all the way around.
Right.
That goes to show you just don't have to be right there for them to talk.
You got Katie's box there. That works really good.
Yep.
Which one you want?
Oh, that's right.
You got that one?
Yep.
The ink box.
Ink box, yeah.
Yep.
That's
Same
the new
one.
Now you won't have this.
The Nanocom?
Now this is a Nanocom X.
Yeah.
The new one.
Yeah, he's
S-Step.
talking about.
And this is the one. This was an experimental one. I have one, and so does Chris Carr from Dark Horse Paranormal, and we're the only two that have those.
Do they work pretty good?
Yes. That's why I keep them out of my box. They're all out, and that's just a straight Nanocom.
Right.
It's still very, very good.
Well, you have a lot of paranormal spots in Wisconsin. You don't have to go too far.
Well, there's a even here in Northern Illinois, and that would be an SX, and this is once again a retro box.
Right.
It's an ink box,
Right.
but it's a retro. So
That's one thing I can say about KD. He thinks outside the box on a lot of his equipment.
Then why does he put it all in boxes?
So we can use them, but his designs and his technology creations, he goes outside the box.
I was almost going to go ahead and wear my sweatshirt I got from Katie tonight, but I've been wearing it all day long, and it's a little beat up but it's beautiful, and she gave me that for Christmas.
Awesome.
And
They are such good people.
They
they're
are.
awesome people.
We were going to go up there last weekend,
Right.
and Katie got called out to do something
Yeah.
out of town.
Yeah, filming.
So they didn't tell me where. They just told me that he was going.
Oh,
And it all worked out because I ended up being so sick that I couldn't go.
right.
But I'm just grateful that, that they told us before. And I didn't have to say, hey, I'm sick and we can't come.
right.
Right.
So it all worked out in our favor. And we'd said something about possibly going this weekend, but the weekend before Christmas is the worst time to do almost anything.
Right.
Blind
So-
up, isn't she?
She is using every gel. I have gel crayons. She's using every one for nothing.
She's not drawing aliens or anything, is she?
No, but she is drawing all over her new clothes.
Oh no.
Yep, they're new. It's
That's
okay.
why you get
no.
the pens that have washable ink.
Remember, I'm a mother of 4 and I ran a daycare. They're all the ink is washable.
That's right.
And I have hairspray for the ink. Hairspray gets ink out of everything. So
I didn't know that trick.
yeah,
Give me some
if it's
hairspray.
regular ink, ballpoint pen,
Yeah.
hairspray's perfect.
Well, wait until I see her and I'll teach her how to use one of these.
That's the
It's an airbrush.
I'm
Well-
back into my airbrushing.
That
What are you
will not
doing?
come out of her clothes.
Yes, it will.
What's that?
Yes, it will.
Okay, are you using Crayola markers for the
No.
airbrush?
No. There's a new thing that works in airbrushes and stuff that everybody can afford.
Tempura paint?
Or
Apple
acrylics. aren't
Barrel from Walmart.
Yeah, they sell it also at the dollar store.
Yeah, 50 cents a bottle, and you water it down, and it works perfect out of the airbrush.
they?
Oh,
It's acrylics. It's
everybody's
acrylics, right?
using those anymore. for-
Yeah, well, they're cheaper than your high dollar,
You can't.
$25 a bottle airbrush paint.
You can't use that stuff anymore.
No.
I
No, I
paint-
used to
I
do
paint
quite a bit
mustard
of it.
beds.
I'm back into it. Getting some of it done.
Their side.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Awesome.
This was one of the first ones I practiced on the new airbrush I got and stuff
Very,
where it
very,
rips out.
very-
Huh.
So then I found out a better way. And there's going to be an airbrushing show on the Bill of Rights Network. I'm going to start one in the daytime.
okay.
But yeah, and then there's a new way to do portraits and pictures. I've got a projector set up right behind here, right behind this green screen. I've got my deal where I airbrush so
Yeah.
it don't get on the wall. I put a picture on the screen, and I can trace it. I can trace it out on the paper.
Wow, look at that picture.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
That's a
colorful.
good picture there, sissy.
I think it's got wheels on it. It looks like an airplane.
It's sticky as hell.
Oh, it is sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sticky and sleepy.
Yeah,
How old is she?
She is
2 in April.
yeah, so 18, 20 months.
yep.
So
Won't be no more time to go ahead and keep her back.
no, I'm surprised she sat still this long.
There you go, Grandma.
So she's just making me color for hours on end. So
Give me one.
here, give it to Grandpa.
I've got a spray booth, Carl, in the garage that I use, and I paint musky baits.
Oh, really?
So I've worked for 3 or 4 different manufacturers over the last 30 years
Uh-huh.
painting, and I've done some production work, where I do 500 at a crack. It gets a little tedious, but
Right.
and you don't learn anything really beyond what you're doing. So it gets tedious in that direction, where
Right.
you have much more room to.
I've got more room to do stuff. Mainly, I got it because we have a modeling show on here where we put together models.
Yeah, you spray it.
And now I can define down the engine and dash with the airbrush and paint brushes and stuff different ways to make them look better.
So what do you do? All World War II fighters and stuff?
No, mainly I'm into the old cars. I've got a
Oh.
57 Corvette and a 62 Impala convertible to
Ooh.
airbrush up.
That's
So,
pretty wild.
hey, it's something to pass the time away when I'm not working and stuff, and relaxing. Plus, on top of that, Tammy, my wife, is starting to learn to use the airbrush so she can do more stuff.
Yeah, they're awesome tools.
They are, and they're not high priced tools. That's why my show is going to be airbrushing the cheap way, right? I've got a Harbor Freight air compressor and airbrush that cost $89 together, right? The paints, I think I have a total of, I've got like 25 different paints here in 2-ounce bottles that make 4 ounces of paint when I use it in the airbrush. So you don't have a lot wrapped up in it, especially if get the kids involved in it where they're not playing the video games and they're not out running the streets. They could be home doing something and make money at it.
Oh, sure.
Well, that's what they're doing with YouTube and playing games. Some of these kids are getting $7,000-$8,000 a month playing games.
Well, yeah, they got to have the followers. You got to build that channel up. We've got a channel on here where they do gaming. They haven't built the channel up worth nothing yet. They need to, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, these YouTubers out here that doing the gaming, there's some of them, they have, 500,000 to 1 million followers.
Yeah.
And getting that royalty from YouTube back to them.
That's how some people got on TV, was being followed on YouTube, got them noticed, even though they're crappy paranormal investigators and other things. The only reason that they got on TV was because they had over 1.5 million followers.
Well, you look, I'll give you a perfect example. Look at iRacing.
At what?
The guys that do iRacing that pay that $110 a year and get their steering wheel and all that stuff, right?
What's iRacing?
iRacing is a racing game setup that these guys invented. You're racing against other guys in there. You start out on a dirt track and build your way up to NASCAR, build your way up to the Indy cars. And what's cool is this team went out to every racetrack and spent 3 weeks and put a vehicle out there with all these cameras on it and drove it at 1/10 of a mile an hour around the track to film it.
So to map it?
Yes. They are identically mapped. But what I was getting at, here 3 years ago, there was an iRacing guy on there that went through all the classes on iRacing and won championships and all the races and everything. He got so popular that NASCAR invited him to a racetrack to drive a real race car.
I don't know. Does it transfer?
It did on him.
I cannot. I can drive, but I cannot play Grand Theft Auto or any of those games. I cannot drive on a game.
Do you have to? I mean, to race somebody else? Is there other? How many drivers are there?
Well, when they're in the NASCAR on iRacing,
yeah,
and they're at Daytona, there's 43 other people playing the game.
Okay, do they have to pay to get in the race, or
they pay their membership to iRacing, then they're invited into it, and iRacing has sponsorships where they pay you money.
Kristen,
now I have the
grew up at
impression
racetracks.
I have this impression of Denise playing that game, just screaming.
Oh, they do, and they can talk to each other, and a lot of them have went as far as they'll have a guy in the background talking to them as their crew chief.
Oh wow,
that's how far advanced this system has gotten.
And he's talking about tires and fuel and everything else to him.
Mm-hmm. And the car's pushing, so they got to bring it in and adjust this and adjust that. And Oh yeah, they've got it. Well, it's so good that in the off season, 80% of your NASCAR drivers play it with the other guys.
I had a kid that worked with me at Bass Pro Shops, and he was 19, and he was a gamer. And he went to Las Vegas, and he came home with $1 million
Mm-hmm.
playing a series.
A lot of people do that. I mean, it's amazing. But
Well, they got their gaming tournaments where the guys go in. If you get killed or kicked out, you're out, and the last man standing wins.
Well, they got sponsors. They got people that,
I'd probably be good at that iRacing because on the NASCAR game, I'd set my own car up and everything. I tore them up.
You look it up on the computer, iRacing.com, and check it out.
Oh,
It's
I know.
like
I want to.
$110 a year.
That's not bad.
No, it's not. And you can play it anytime and create your own race too.
Did you see, Ron? Did you see when KD had that old car that they picked up, that hearse?
Yeah.
yeah, we heard that he did.
And
I haven't seen it.
He poured the gasoline into this 4-barrel carburetor
Yep.
and sat in there and just started cranking. And it finally fired.
Yep.
And it hadn't run for I don't know how long.
10 years.
10 years.
Yep.
And his foot was on that gas pedal. He was pumping that gas pedal after he put all that gas in there. It was like, there's no way it's going to start.
Yeah, I
That was
know.
remarkable.
I was down at his shop when he got back from doing that and bringing the car home and stuff. And we sat in the shop and talked for an hour about it.
Do you know Brandon now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a
That's
show on our
awesome.
network.
Yeah. I've been on Brandon's show, I think, twice now.
Yeah, he's on our network. I met
He's
Brandon down there at premiere The Ghost of Devil's Perch when they had the premiere down there.
Yeah, we met him and didn't even realize that we'd met him already,
Well,
which was funny. So he was just sitting at the table, listening to us talk the whole time. Didn't know who he was, but
Well,
we met him in May.
me and Gary and Tammy and Jeanette and everybody, we was down there at Smithville at the premiere. And they were running around in there like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to get everything set up.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the movie going. Katie had brought in a popcorn machine. It quit working. So I got over there, unscrewed the top, moved the gears around, and got it working for them. And that way everybody in there could have popcorn that night and stuff. And got done, and KD comes up and goes, "Thank you so much." I said, "I know, I was watching you. You was going nuts."
Yeah, they are such nice people, all of them. Brandon and his wife, Katie and Katie.
Anna, yeah.
Anna.
And then their kids are sweet.
Logan.
So, and Kristen, here's a story for you. When I was working for Sprint, we had, of course, we were sponsoring all the races, Sprint Cup and all that. And we had all the race car drivers for Sprint out there. So anybody who had a Sprint logo on their car came out for our United Way event. And I'm standing out there, and they told all of us, no autographs. You cannot ask for autographs. And so I'm wearing my shirt, and all of a sudden, Richard Petty comes over, and him and his son, and this is after Adam died at the racetrack, and comes over.
His grandson.
Yeah. No, it was Adam Petty that died.
Yeah, that's his.
Yeah, that's Kyle's son.
Yeah.
That's Kyle's kid. Yeah.
So they were out there, for this event, and Richard Petty sees me, and he says, "Oh, little Linda, how are you doing?" He hadn't seen me since I was 5,
Uh-huh.
and he knew exactly who I was. Guess who signed my shirt? All the team members. So I have, both Petties
Wow.
and the other, I can't even remember.
Kyle?
Not Kyle. He signed my shirt. Adam or Richard Petty and the other driver that they had at the time.
Oh, I don't know.
Thing is
Changed
he was the
drivers.
shortest one. His name was Michael something. But yeah, he was shorter than the Petties. And it was like, this guy was as tall as me. Whoever.
They got a different driver every year.
But it was funny. I had people yelling about me getting their autographs, and I didn't even ask for them.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just because they recognized me from being at the track when I was little with my dad.
Well, that's just like before NASCAR became big in 79, right? And everything. We would go to the Missouri State Fair where they had a mile track down there. That's where I got to meet down in the pits with Dad and everything. We'd go down in there before the races and after the races. I got to meet Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough,
Wow.
the Allison, all of them. And what was cool back then was the car they were racing, you could go to the dealership and buy the exact same car.
Yeah.
Because the rule was if it won on Sunday, it sold on Monday.
Yep.
If it was a Chevy, a Ford, a Plymouth, whichever brand won, that's the car that would sell the most on the following Monday.
We had
Wow.
my dad's favorite driver was Cale Yarborough. Of course, watching it in black and white is nothing like watching it in color.
No, but the wreck at Daytona with Yarborough and all them is what made NASCAR famous to go on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. When everybody could watch two drivers duking it out after a wreck, TV networks and NASCAR went, oh, we got something now. And every TV network, because used to the only time you'd see a NASCAR race they were racing was on Wide World of Sports.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while they would show one. But then after that, the next season, they started showing them almost every Sunday.
You can almost say that's the beginning of reality TV
Yes, it was.
when they start knocking at each other.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I remember when they were interviewing on Merv Griffin. That's really going to age us. I was a kid, of course, but I remember them interviewing Richard Petty on Merv Griffin. I don't remember who else was there, but I remember Richard Petty. So, and with as much as I hate Tom Petty, it's hard to believe how much I like Richard Petty. I know they're
Right.
not even closely related.
No, but you have to also remember
One's
back in the
talented
early
and the other
days,
one wasn't.
the 60s in NASCAR,
The singer
Richard
wasn't.
Petty, known as the king of NASCAR anyway, he was basically the spokesperson,
Right.
because he was the one winning all the damn time.
Right.
Right.
But when you seen two drivers go at it and everything, that was the entertainment on there.
It was, I mean, when they got down to fist fighting, you knew that this wasn't fake like
Yeah, it wasn't
wrestling
no
or
wrestling.
wrestling. It was not like, Jerry Lawler and all them fighting it up down there. This is, they were walking away with real blood coming down their face.
And people today don't realize, back then they were running speeds of 175, 185, 190 miles an hour on the super speedways
Yeah.
on bias ply
Yeah.
tires.
Yeah.
And not to
Crazy.
mention
That's
the fact
crazy.
that they weren't making any real money out of this.
Anne
No.
Marie said she stopped watching after NASCAR changed all the rules. I was going to say which time because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
change them every year.
Yeah,
I can't keep track of
I watch
what cars they're driving. Their little car tomorrow. Yesterday,
I watch
It's
two
still
races a
race.
year now is all I watch
I don't know if it's
anymore.
me, but it doesn't even look like they race anymore. They just follow each other until the last 10 laps.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't really. My son, one of my sons watches. and I
I
don't.
don't even really keep track.
I can remember back in the day when they were on ABC, and now it's phenomenal what they do. But I mean, it's like you guys said, they just follow each other.
I really, really enjoyed it. And then I saw Dale Earnhart's last win at Talladega. It was at Talladega, and then the following year.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that live?
Yeah, I was down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Surrounded by all Earnhardt fans. I mean, nobody left after the thing was over. In fact, with about 10 laps to go, we're all looking at the board, and he's in like 18th place. And I told the guy next to me, I said, that doesn't look like Dale's going to do it today. And then 5 laps to go, he got moved up, I don't know, the 13th or something.
Yeah.
I'll be damned. There he goes to the front. Where everybody's like, ah. But after he passed away, it kind of went downhill a lot for me. I
Well, that's like at your races.
I mean, Bobby Labonte was one of my favorite drivers, and Dale Earnhardt. And when he passed, it was Labonte didn't stick around too much longer either. But
no, and see, at those races at the Daytona 500, you have wrecker people from all over the United States that are invited down there.
Yep.
We have a wrecker service up here, Bridgman's Wreckers. They went 25 years straight down there. They were down there when Dale had his wreck.
Yeah.
They were called out on the wreck. Their time came up to be called out to go to it. The wreck before, when Tony Stewart flipped upside down on the back straightaway, they went and got that. If Tony wouldn't have done that, they would have been the wrecker at Dale's wreck. And they said, you've been to races and everything, but when that happened, this is paranormal, you could feel it go all over the track. A heavy weight.
Oh, yeah.
Down.
Yeah, when I saw the wreck, I thought it didn't look real bad at first, but then, I mean, he's going about close to 200 miles and just boom, like that.
We've seen wrecks worse than that.
And the rumor is he would take off his harness or seatbelt on the last lap. I don't know if that was
He
true
would loosen them up so he could turn.
Right. I don't know if that was true, but
it's very possible. When I used to race dirt cars up here, we would loosen them up because we weren't allowed to have mirrors, right? So in order in a dirt car to see what's going on around, you got to turn in your seat.
Yeah.
And we'd loosen them up. And man, that time I had that bad wreck up there, I wish I wouldn't have loosened them up because that hurt like hell.
Yeah, you pay for that.
Oh, yeah, especially when you're upside down.
All right.
I like Tony Stewart, too. I kind of got into NASCAR probably because of Joe Gibbs. I thought, why would somebody quit coaching football and go to NASCAR? You know? It's probably money, but I thought, well, I got to go check this out a little bit more. And that's why I got, pretty much Joe Gibbs Racing.
I like Tony Stewart because he kind of took over Dale Earnhardt's position as the mean, tough guy in racing.
Yeah, I like Tony Stewart. He was fun to watch.
Now, do you see where he's into drag racing?
He's into everything.
Yeah. He drove a top fuel car.
Oh, I've done that.
And he drove.
So, he's into that now. He's even talking about leaving NASCAR.
He's already left NASCAR. He just owns a car now.
No, I think his whole team he's thinking of pulling.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Stuart Haas?
Yep.
You going to pull out?
I think he's getting ready to sell his share.
Really?
Because he's tired of NASCAR's crap.
It changes too much. It does.
It's like you juggle and whatever you catch is.
They get something halfway decent and then they
screw it up.
You got to change it to screw it up. they're getting to be run like baseball. Baseball is run by idiots.
Right. And
Kristen,
you're
Kristen.
right. He's still into
Kristen.
sprint cars even after that bad wreck
Oh yeah, he's always
where
done
he
the
killed
sprint
the guy. But
Kristen says she's got $1,000 worth of number 20s merchandise.
I got a Tony Stewart car. I got a couple of them. I got one. It's the Halloween, the Halloween one, the Charlie Brown and all that. It's pretty cool.
oh, I got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I got
Tony
like
Stewart. I even got
Earnhardt
some
and
of it
Bobby
autographed
Labonte
by him.
and some other ones.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot of people in here from the East Coast. Well,
Oh,
except
yeah.
for Anne Marie Young, she's Virginia. I guess you could still say that's the East Coast.
And I think we have a couple in here. I have to go back through the chat that
Some of my cards are worse.
may be from Japan because we're live over on the Japan Paranormal
Wow.
page over there.
Oh, you get Irene in here, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Irene's
I haven't
the one
seen
that
her in a
invited
while.
us to go live over there with our show.
Have you seen her lately?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
She has
Just
her-
the other night,
Did she?
Mhm.
She gonna
2
say-
nights ago.
She's quite the lady.
She's
Yeah.
cool.
So have you guys been getting all your Christmas cards?
No.
Well, I got a whole bunch of them
Oh,
from all over the country, all over
Really?
North America. Yeah, I got one here from, let's see, Paul and Angela Johnston with Spotlight on the Paranormal. So
Good.
got some guests sending me messages. Here.
Hey, good.
We
I
got
didn't send no cards this year.
got one here from Frank and Teresa Bennett after he forgot their wedding anniversary. So that wasn't that
Yeah.
long ago. So thank you, Frank. Let's see, who else do we have here? Oh, Dan and Kitty. Dan has been on here, my cousin.
Yeah.
Let's see. Brad Kelly and Kenna Webb, Crack Skull Paranormal.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see here. Here's a Grinchy one. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, something fell out of the
That's
great.
$1,000. That was $1,000 check, I think.
I wish. No, it's from Dark Knight Paranormal, Texas.
Okay, that's
Jerry and Ash.
Anthony.
Jerry and Ash.
Anthony, right?
Jerry and Ash.
It wasn't Anthony.
There is an Anthony that's Arizona.
That's Wraith. It's Texas Wraith.
Yeah, I don't know if I got one
Nature.
from them. This has been the most. Oh, and I got one from Farah. And Matthew Perry. You know, guys, you guys know Farah Rose. I don't know what it says. She filled it with glitter, and that's the glitter that keeps on giving. I keep finding it everywhere.
Yep.
And let's see, who's this one from? Some company sent me a whole bunch of gifts, Christmas cards to send out, which I thought was nice. Jeremy York.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Got one from Jeremy. Got one from your paranormal friend, Aurora. Let's see. I think this pretty one. I don't know who this person is, but it's a very pretty card. Their signature.
Can't read it.
No. And I can't read the envelope either. Let's see. We have one here from Michael and Destiny Fox of Fox Paranormal.
Wow.
From Get That Ghost Tennessee on Facebook. Merry Christmas. Love Jason, Natalie, Brody, and Willow. Can't say their last name very easily. One here from Pat Sailors.
Yeah.
Another
Hi,
one here
Lori.
from Shadow Seekers Paranormal. Amanda Kinley. I have never gotten this many Christmas cards. I've never felt this loved in my entire life. I'm being honest. I have not.
Well, you're popular in the paranormal field.
Let's see.
Always has been.
Here's another one from Amanda. Amanda, if you recognize the card.
Yeah.
I've got all the I have all the envelopes. I just don't know which one goes with which one. Here's one from Canada, from Joanne.
Oh, awesome.
Yep. Clarendon in Canada. One from the Pridemore family.
All right.
Para Sisters podcast. Para Sister, Para Historian. Merry
Yeah.
Christmas to them.
There you go.
Burns.
Yeah.
Linda did a great job on that card. Cassie Samel. Let's see. I think I have maybe one more card.
Oh man, you gonna go through all of them?
This is from Jeremy York.
Right.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Jeremy's from Things Network in the 13th dimension.
He's made an amazing recovery.
Yes, he has. He's still got a ways to go, but
And Hensley Paranormal on YouTube.
Now I got Rex's surgery is Thursday. Oh
And
man, that's gonna be during that snowstorm.
Yep.
Right.
And this is from Linda Morrison. And she sent a little kitty cat in a cup thing.
Which Linda Morrison?
Linda Morrison out of LaPorte, Indiana.
Yeah, that's my Linda.
So thank you. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that I got their cards and that I really truly appreciate them. They made my day. Every day that I got one, it was exciting to open a card from you guys. And I haven't gotten this many Christmas cards
Our mailman's probably going, what the heck
in
are
years.
these people into? They're all signed paranormal something.
Well, that's good.
So, but like I said, I really wanted everyone to know how much fun this was for us. And I did.
I think we're in there doing seances.
I did send some out to some people.
We're at a family reunion. My Denise is in there doing reading somewhat. My cousin comes out. You better get in there. Your wife's in there doing seances. I'm like, no, she's not. He goes, yes, she is. I said, I know she's not because we don't do that.
No.
He goes, well, she's doing something in there. Taking everyone out.
He is a funeral director. Owns a funeral home.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he's getting freaked out.
No, I don't. They said I
No,
was.
I'm saying, and he's getting freaked out.
Yeah. We asked him some really strange questions.
Wow.
What was the most unusual thing you've ever seen on a body? And it was like this 90-year-old woman or 80-year-old woman with a tattoo.
89 years old with a tattoo. And he said, the weird thing is, he goes, you see enough, bodies in that, you kind of pick up on things, right? He goes, well, this tattoo was not that old. Maybe a couple years. He could tell, but it had on the inside of her thigh, pointing at her
private parts.
At her stuff. It said danger zone. He said, I don't know if it was the scariest thing or the funniest I've seen.
Well, you got to look at it this way. She was 89 years old.
Go Granny.
On the wrinkly side as we get older. So she didn't want to get one in her younger age, so it'd all be wrinkled up. She waited until she got older.
I would say that she did it.
Yeah, it probably would have said ringer zone.
I think she did it because in the nursing home, it was something to talk about. Because I hear that those nursing homes are swinging places.
Oh yeah,
especially if you're a guy.
She probably had a spunky boyfriend.
Probably.
She could have.
We have a story in our family. My mom's husband, his mom Goldie, was, old guy or old lady, and her granddaughter brought home a boyfriend. Long story short, they ended up on Jerry's Maury Povich. Grandma ended up stealing the granddaughter's boyfriend. He was 40 and she was 80. So, needless to say, it made Maury Povich. It was an interesting story. He ended up in jail later on for elder and spousal abuse. So, But still, what in the hell are you
Oh.
looking at if you're going from a 40-year-old to an 80-year-old?
Hey, all I can say is my great uncle Dean, my papa's brother, right?
He's coming.
He was 73 years old and his wife was 23 when she had her first kid with him.
Oh, wow.
How old?
73 and 23.
See, it's different though when it's men. People don't judge it as much. They just go, lucky bastard.
Uh-huh.
But when it's a woman that's 80 and the guy's 40, they go, what in the hell's wrong with this guy?
Well, she's either got money or something.
She had a kid.
She had money.
They're like 1 foot in the grave. If I work hard, I can put the other foot in there.
Hey,
And she's got that tattoo.
I always told my mom, I said, yeah, you married the first time for love, which was my dad. I said, the second time, did you married for money? And she goes, yep. She goes, and the third time, she goes, if I get married, she goes, me 1 foot on a banana peel and 1 foot in the grave.
Yep.
And Ansel was pretty much, her second and third husbands were basically Ansel. So I don't know about that, but, because my mom, hell, she's just 68 when she died. So not much older than me at this point.
69. Yeah, but
She was 68.
you don't smoke like a chimney.
But I'm hot.
Oh.
Denise has always been hot.
Actually,
Not today.
no, not today. Today I've been freezing my ass off. So, and now I've got glitter everywhere from all the cards. Again, the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, God.
So,
I would love to have somebody on a radio show that was or worked at the morgue. The stories they could tell, because this sleep paralysis stuff. It was on a show the other night and everything. When the guy's getting ready to cut into him, and this guy sets up and raises up and goes, "Oh, okay."
you would think they check their pulse before they start.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, but when they go into sleep paralysis, your pulse is so low, you can't even find one.
My pulse is sometimes like 47, and they have a hard time sometimes where they have to get a sonogram to find it, which is weird. But yeah, he could probably thinks I'm dead every night.
Well, you look at when Cassidy passed out that first time. There was 4 people there, Tammy and Jeanette and a couple other people, and they could not find a pulse on my granddaughter. Luckily, one of the paramedics was out in the parking lot, came in. He looked, he couldn't find it. He grabbed her arm and lifted it up and squeezed right here real hard for about 10 seconds and let go and goes, now you'll get a pulse.
Wow.
And we're like, everybody's going, what the hell did you do? And he goes, that's what we're taught to do. You'll find a pulse now. And that's how they found her pulse.
Damn.
You're talking about that. My sister, Donna.
Spirit box. Huh?
In Virginia Beach. She used to work in a funeral home. She was the one that would sit with the people waiting for the bodies to come in. And so she said that one time they brought in a body in the...
It's a dead-end job.
It is a dead-end job. They brought one body in the bag, and she didn't know anything about the body other than she had just signed for it. And she was rolling it back, and suddenly in the bag, the guy rolls over and onto the floor, gets a concussion. But of course, at the time, she doesn't know that he's actually alive. She just thought that something happened where he rolled off. So she, after he hit the floor, she heard, and that's how she knew he was alive. So not good. I'm glad she doesn't do that job anymore.
Well, could you imagine bringing somebody in a body bag and sliding them into one of the coolers and walk away and hear bang, 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 bang on the cooler wall?
Yeah.
And those are so thick, I don't know if you'd hear it.
Well, if I was in there, I'd make sure you hit it.
Yeah,
I'd be kicking that door.
Well, when they put you in there, usually you're not dressed. Your clothes have already been cut off. So yeah, you're gonna be wide awake trying
Well,
to.
sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't, because they've got to still do the autopsy. So,
Oh, apparently I'm tickling her.
oh, she's having way too much fun.
So
So, what do you got coming up in 23, Greg, on paranormal?
I think I'm going to end up going to that Mill Creek, the Paracon.
Yep,
oh, the one out in Pickens.
yep.
Yeah.
You know, we probably should go only because maybe we could talk these guys into going and seeing their other grandma. Because that's where they live, is in Pickens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Tyler's family lives there.
Oh,
You have to take time off work, and they don't do that.
That and we have a event at Broadhead, Wisconsin. Shadow Hunters does on April 22nd. That's going to be quite an event. And we got Natalie Jones and Patty Negri there and some other people. So
Patty is so nice. I like her a lot.
yeah, we worked Janesville with her last spring a year ago.
Uh-huh.
And when we got involved with Paraflix with Shadow Hunters, it was like, wow, that was a perfect way to go. And Patty's been really great with me, and I've always paid attention to her brother that was sick, and he's a vet, and I was always sending prayers because he was getting a bum deal there. Finally, they got him into the VA hospital.
Yeah.
And that's what saved him pretty much. They were screwing around with him in a regular hospital.
Right.
So that's pretty much it. We're going to be just doing. I'd love to. I don't know what's going to be going on with GRS with Ghost Research Society.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'll be part of them by that time. I am part of the Warren Legacy Foundation now. I got involved with them. It's very unusual because they have a real interview process where you're interviewed by a few of the people that are, upper echelon, and then you have to talk to Chris McKinnon, and he's the founder. So, and I had talked to him twice, so it was interesting. They're always looking for people, especially people with psychic abilities.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'll tell you that I have a bracelet made by Judy Spera with some of Lorraine's jewelry in it. That was a gift.
well, I had made mention to Chris McKinnell about the fact that in January I'm going to have Andrea on the show. And it was Perone.
Yeah.
Perrin,
yeah.
And they were like, he just said, well, and I says, Chris, it's between you guys. It's got nothing to do with me.
No. Yeah. I heard her interview with Ghost Brothers the other day, and she was not favorable towards the Warrens. And everything I know,
She's all over the map.
anything I know that's factual about the Warrens came from Ken Deal when I used to be on Demonology Today with them, because him and Farrah and Deb Johnson were friends of
That, I don't know, that woman,
them.
she's very strange to me.
Andrea Perrin.
Yeah.
Perron.
Something's off. I don't know what. But,
Maybe living in a haunted house.
nah.
I think when you're talking about families fighting, and that you got so much bias going on that everybody can't see the light at the end of the tunnel at all. and they're concentrating on that part.
Yeah, but I don't know if you saw the episode. She made it a point to go after them, the Warrens. I mean, that was that was why she was on there, was to make a point to go after them. And that's crap.
I didn't see it.
Place.
But I'm just looking at who she is and what she was involved with and as a child.
Yeah, the questions I would have for her would be along the lines of her summoning UFOs.
Oh,
because that's one of the things that she can do. She says
supposedly, yeah, right.
That's what I would That's what I would want to know. I would want to know how she does that.
She doesn't.
So
you know who Bill Hauser is?
Who?
Bill Hauser.
No.
Sounds familiar.
He's another ITC guy, and he's from up in Vancouver. And he has a lady that he knows that lives on Vancouver Island that he goes over by her, and they'll go out on a beach area, and they'll sit there, and she does the same thing.
Like I said, I don't understand how.
I have no idea myself. All I'm doing is passing this on.
Right. Like I said, that's the question I would ask myself.
Right. Oh, I will.
So
who
I'd like to know where that gift came from.
You said you saw them do this, or you heard this?
No. He was telling me that he goes out and visits her.
Oh, okay.
And that this is what she does. And everybody went ahead and went after Stephen Greer when he started doing all that stuff in the desert. And it was like, wow, that's some pretty interesting work. For where that man's been. And, I mean, you're not talking about some guy that went to high school. Mm-hmm. You're talking somebody that worked with everything from NASA to SETI.
Right.
So he has some credibility to him, but they went at him, and, they're trying to get him to stop doing what he's doing now with that close CE5 handbook.
Yeah.
They don't even want that out there.
Right.
There's
so there is something to it. So otherwise they wouldn't be going after him,
We got a guy up here in Lawrence, Kansas, that's part of the CE5 stuff in Kansas and Missouri. And he's had some really interesting stories that he was sharing. And I don't remember his name right off. I mean, I have his card. I just don't I don't have it handy. But some of the stories that they say are just, I don't know if to say if it's enlightening or if it's amazing or unbelievable. I don't know what word to use because I don't know. I don't want to be negative, but I don't know if I should be positive. Or, I guess mixed.
It would fall under the same thing as going to look for Bigfoot.
No,
you're not really going to believe in it until you see one.
I do believe
there's a better shot of seeing another being or something out in space than a Bigfoot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't find it. I believe that there is.
I can't believe we're the only thing around in this whole universe. No.
No. So that part I believe. I just don't know. I just don't know enough to say I'm going to buy it hook, line, and sinker. So, but I would at least have questions to talk about it. Where with. And I don't mean to be rude to anybody out there, but I have a harder time with Bigfoot because I haven't seen any proof.
Nah, nothing.
Any proof of anything that makes me go, oh my God, it's great. And yeah, and I love Jay Bachochin, I think
Jay, yeah.
Yeah, Jay is great. And I know that he believes what he's talking about. But again, that is something I have to see something to believe. But with aliens, I don't have to see to believe. I do totally believe that that this is not it.
Right.
Yeah, there's something else out
there's
there,
other stuff
and
out there.
it's already been here, and it's still here.
Yeah.
I think it's got a lot to do with our spirit communication too.
And Kristen, we didn't
It
mean
could.
anything about Andrea. We don't know her. It's just what Ron is
That's
just
what
talking
Lori
about
said.
how he sees stuff.
Opinion.
It's just his opinion, and
Well-
and I don't have one. She's always been nice every time I've heard her on the radio.
We know some people that know the Warrens very well. Let's put it that way. And the way she portrayed him was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And she made the point. That's what I said. There wasn't the time and place to do it. I mean, she could post her stuff on Facebook or whatever stupid thing she likes to use or whatever, do it.
Right.
Yeah,
That wasn't it.
and it's not an
You see-
insult; it's just an opinion.
No.
You see, right in the chat, you've got us. You have a star seed and Reggie Randall.
Hmm.
And what would be a starseed?
One that can call the UFOs in.
Okay.
Well, he's not of here. He's claimed to come from like Pleiades and places like that. Here he is.
Yeah, like I said, I would like to witness it. That's the one thing.
Yeah, I
gotta
would
say.
too.
Am I
I would like to see somebody do it. And
insulting
Witness it.
somebody? Am I insulting Grace?
No,
Is that what she's talking? I have no idea what she's talking about.
what's that?
I don't know.
The star seed?
no.
No, that's Reggie.
She said I keep insulting the host, and
Well, we all have our own opinions. That's and stuff. It's like she said.
So, no worries.
So
So what are you
I'm
guys?
just saying. Never mind.
So
and Reginald, if you ever want to come on one of the shows, let us know. Because here's the one he put. He would like to show some new things to people they have never seen before on a new
Yeah, I'd
podcast.
like to see it.
yeah.
I would too.
Yeah, we're gonna do a show together.
So
I'm
who
gonna-
aren't you doing a show with, Greg?
Oh, aren't I?
You know, every night.
Yeah, you're always busy.
I am a busy person, and that's why I enjoy these 2 weeks, because I can recoup, and I enjoy both of them immensely. Metaphysical means a lot to me, just because it's part of my path, and the shadow hours. I want to go ahead and I started it out by doing it with people that I had met. And I expanded it to other people that knew the people that I had met and that kind of thing. And it just carried me. And I appreciate my families that I'm involved with. I mean, shadow hunters, I've been with them. I was with Dale before that. But I didn't have anything going in that direction with Dale. And, he's been a mentor to me in the past. And I have to use it that way now. And I'm always continuing wanting to keep in touch with him. But, we've gone our own ways. And that's why I went with the Warren Foundation or Warren Legacy.
Yeah.
And that's not that I believe the same way as everybody else does about it. I have my own reason for going my own directions. And
Hopefully we're back.
yeah, you're back now. You were a little crushed there for a while.
Like I said, it's everybody here is on the internet probably looking at the bad weather.
Where's Reginald out of?
He's from Madison.
Yeah, they're going to be doing a new podcast called Perfectly Normal Paranormal Communications. That's awesome.
Which,
Look
I'm
at
going to
Red
keep my
Skull.
eyes crossed when I'm doing it.
Anthony?
He's got me
Was it
wearing
Anthony?
one of those little aluminum skull caps with a little antenna sticking out of the top of it.
Well, maybe I should do that.
No,
He
he's a great.
might work better.
Yeah, it brings up the reception,
I guess.
But he's a young guy, and he's extremely talented.
Yeah, I'd like
I've
to
seen
hear how
him
he
work.
got started in it.
I've seen him work a cemetery that it's just unbelievable with a spirit box.
Huh.
Amazing.
I've never seen anybody work a cemetery the way he did.
So when is this show starting?
As soon as we get a real grasp on it, in January sometime.
Okay.
Got to really come up with a way of putting it all together. We've got ideas, and we just have to, glue them all together and see what we come up with.
Now, when you say he does a cemetery, how does he do a cemetery?
Well, he'll do it with a, almost like he does a double blind ghost box type thing, where he has everything is hooked together.
Right.
And
that's how we do a lot of it too.
And he talks, and he actually has, when he walks in the cemetery, I've never seen this happen before. He walked in a cemetery he's never been in before, and went to the first tombstone and said hello to him, and started going right down the line doing this like this, and he actually was getting responses.
Huh.
Makes sense. It's just like you're walking into
like they were all there.
Home, and there's a bunch of people. You walk up to each person and introduce yourself.
We investigate a lot of cemeteries.
Yeah, but I mean, have you ever come across that kind of reaction from
not going to every headstone?
Not every one, but Denise we walked in a huge one, and she said, "I'm getting the name," and walked around, and found the grave of this woman. So,
I found
started doing got the echo box out, and it started talking, and we were asking questions, and come to find out that this woman had lost her baby just like a day or so before.
Yeah, I have a friend from GRS that's involved in a project, and what the project is they're going out and finding the unknown tombstones to the rest of the victims from John Wayne Gacy that are buried over just 4 or 5 cemeteries in Chicago, and a lot of them are like Resurrection, where it's like huge. It's like one of the GI cemeteries. I mean, when you really think about how big it is. And he's been doing it, and he gave me an assignment up by me, and I found one of them, but this was one of the identified ones. So they're actually buried with their name on it, but nobody knows that they were buried there, what the circumstances were behind them.
Yeah,
right.
Because otherwise, there was a real fear of why they put unknowns on there, of having people coming in and digging them up. And I just thought, wow.
Our cemetery out there is a family type cemetery. My great grandfather started, but there's also a headstone out there in the front that says unknown Indian.
Yeah.
On it. And it's not an old headstone. I would say it's probably from the early 50s there. And I've had certain people that tell me different adults to children are buried in that grave. One or the other. So
I think it was like 3 months ago, they just had another idea of one of the ones that was they had a match on DNA on one of them that they had buried unknown. But now this is the real crazy part, that he had gone to 3 different record keepers on the cemeteries to go ahead and find out where these people were, and nobody has records on them
Yeah.
because they were part of something that in the beginning they didn't want them to be recognized, just because they figured that there would be people that would be digging them up. The one I found, like I said, has his name right on it. I have no idea if he's a local or not. I think they just found a place that they were able to go ahead and place them, and that's what they did after they went through that probation period or whatever it was.
Right.
They had all those bodies, and they were trying to ID them, the ones that were underneath his house. But
At our cemetery, it was created in 1847, but I think there was bodies buried up there before then.
Oh, yeah.
Top of a hill. But there was a lot of Civil War, cavalry, Indians, and Mormon activity down here in Missouri before they got ran out of the state. So it's interesting when we go out there.
yeah, Reggie has that Led to the Light Productions.
Oh,
He does great. There's everybody that's in that group that we have with Bigfoot and the Bunny and Dark Horse Paranormal. Most of them are here tonight.
well, that's
It's really
good.
neat that they showed up. So
Yeah. Thanks everybody for showing up to the show tonight.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Pretty say one.
So
What do you got to say?
that's the old one.
Ready for Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone got their pants on.
Clover does not have her pants on. Not yet.
No. Running in a diaper.
I'm glad everybody in my family's within about 2 miles of me. So
Well, that's good.
my 2 sons and my daughter's in from Seattle or Bellevue. So
Velvet, yeah.
Well, I'm
yeah,
glad
we've been out there quite a bit last year, trying to see exactly where Harry's at in the woods. They do some awesome hikes, and they've been up almost. My son-in-law just summited last summer on Mount Rainier.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, really?
So he did Kilimanjaro, and now he did Rainier. So I don't know if he has any thoughts about going any higher or not, but you know, if you're going across a glacier, I don't know if that's too cool of an idea to begin with. But they had pulled them off. They had pulled them off because it was starting to shift. So, you know, hate to die in the state that you live in. That's for sure. Doing that.
Yeah.
so.
Crazy.
Oh, got all that cleaned up. Needless to say, she now has artwork pants and an artwork shirt.
Yep.
I have an artwork phone. So help.
I looked forward to this for quite some time to be able to be on your show. And
Hey, you're
Well-
welcome here anytime, Greg.
Yeah, anytime you want to come on, let us know.
Yeah, I watched you guys
We
with
always talk.
we were on Brandon's show. That was a good
Yep.
one.
Brandon's remarkable, and
Yeah.
you know he replaced Christopher Sutton for me, and
Yep.
you know I didn't have a lot of time with Chris, but we were down at Robin Terry's Haunted Hour,
Yeah.
and I was speaking down there, and him and I were speaking back to back, like,
Yeah.
and that was during COVID, so we had to go from building to building. So I had a lot of time with him that day, and I really got an opportunity to learn a lot about him. And at the end, we were all leaving. I got to get on the road, and you know, and as we were going, I said, "Wait a minute, I turned around and I ran back in the building and he was coming out. And I said, Chris, I says, we got to get a picture. And he looks at me, he goes, we'll get one next time, like that, and points at me. And it wasn't even 2 months.
Yeah, he stopped going to events in May of that year.
Yeah.
I think it's more because of COVID.
Well, I remember he was supposed to go to this event up in Iowa. And he just started feeling sick. He sent me a message. And, since we were volunteers together at McPike, we kept in contact a lot. Right. We have a message from him for Ron's birthday that year. And I had told Ron, I said, he doesn't sound good. And the thing is he kept telling me, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. And I was like, I don't know what I'm not telling anybody because he didn't tell me, but he thought he did.
Right.
So,
he probably figured that you would know anyway.
Well, I knew something was wrong.
Yeah, we knew something wasn't right.
But, he tells us he's getting a port put in and
less than
2 weeks later, he's dead, and it's hard now to go to McPike and know that he's not there.
We lost a lot.
We did. We lost somebody every other year. Jerome Minks died in 2018. And then in 2016, we lost Tiffany, who was another volunteer.
Right.
And then, of course, we lost Chris. And
we've lost a lot of paranormal people here in the last few years. That all of us know.
Well, with Chris, I'm pretty sure he wasn't going to the doctor for stuff because of COVID. And with him working in a senior center, he was avoiding people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, George used to go to the senior center where Chris worked. Yeah. George Ludke, Sharon and George just had their 51st wedding anniversary. They're the owners of McPike. And George used to go every other day to go boxing and would see Chris. So it was just really hard. And like I said, I still miss him every day. I think it's
fun. That's why we like going to McPike twice a year doing campouts. It's just, the people there. We just enjoyed hanging out with them.
Right. When I left Brandon's show, and even when he's on my show, I just call him my shaman.
When I see him, the first time I saw him, the first thing I said is, "Oh my God, he looks like Chris."
Right.
He did.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and it sort of brings a little calmness to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it does to you guys.
Yeah.
Knowing that, how did this happen? It was meant to be, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that brings the sort of stickum to us, in respect that, we are protected at times more than we even know.
Yeah. I just hope everybody finds their own Coyote Chris.
Yeah.
Because I think that it brings stability to all of us. There's Anthony.
Yeah, there's Anthony.
Yeah.
You're late.
Yeah, you're late. Where in the hell?
No. That's like when we lost Jimmy McVeigh. It hit me and Gary hard because that was our mentor.
Oh yeah.
Getting into the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys did a lot of stuff with them out at the jail.
Yeah, we did.
That was a fun place to go.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I cried hard when Chris died. Right. I was sad for Jimmy because I wasn't as close to him as you, but I was very sad because I knew he had fought a brilliant and valiant fight against cancer. And I knew how much
we went down to
miss him.
No, not your Chris.
Independence Hospital down there off 291 when Jimmy was in the hospital that first time.
Yeah.
And stuff, and seen him in there. It was hilarious to walk in because all the nurses and everybody in there, when we went in the room, they came in. Are you paranormal investigators? because they found out from Jimmy, and he goes, "Yeah, there's people
Oh, yeah,
walking up and
yeah,
down the
huge.
hall, and all this." It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Uh,
They had what, 20, 30 people in their group?
Oh, at one time, I think they were up to 10 to 12.
Oh, I don't know. It seemed like they had a lot.
When we went with
We went, they
there
had,
was like 30 people there
yeah.
that night. We went
They kept,
to the jail.
well, they all had their shirts on, and I thought, well, they're keeping some shirt business and, keeping them in business, some shirt making place.
Right. But yeah, we did a lot, and with Jimmy and them, they helped us a lot.
Oh, yeah.
and everything.
Anthony wants to know what we're talking about.
We're talking about everything under the sun and getting
Everything
ready
that's not normal.
and getting ready to say Merry Christmas to all, all a good night.
Yes.
But I tell you, the one that hit me the hardest, of course, was Rick Rose.
Yeah.
We were out and about when we found out. We were in Marshallton. No, well, down there where Dara lives. We were down there for the parade, and somebody sent me a message, and it was not somebody I expected to hear from. It was somebody that did not like Rick at all. Sent me a message and said, "Did you hear that Rick Rose passed?" And I was like, "No." And so I went out there and I sent David Glidden a message.
Knowing Rick, it'd be something Rick would send out.
Exactly. That's what I thought when I seen the first post on Facebook. I was like, "Uh-oh, Rick's up to his
his
way of doing things."
Especially with him having PTSD about the 4th of July and everything else.
Yeah.
COVID and all that crap. And
so, yeah, the first thing I did was text David and Steve Hayes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And got with them. And I'm in Walmart there walking through and listening to these conversations with these, with David and him, and just bawling my eyes out going, this isn't right. That one really got me really, really hard. But
that one hit the paranormal field pretty hard with
everything.
It was all over everywhere.
Well, he helped us one year up there at Atchison at Sally House, and it was a huge help, and he loved doing it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's free investigating is what it was.
He was so fun.
Wow.
But
and he didn't have a car, so we were picking him up and driving him everywhere.
But I tell you, the one that got me even more was Ken Deal.
Yeah.
Who?
Ken Deal.
Okay.
He was
demonologist.
He died a month after Lorraine Warren, which is strange because he's the one that he's the one who introduced us to the Warrens from a personal side,
right?
And stuff. So we had that, and he was also good friends with Deb Johnson. And Carl knows, he used to hear me all the time on Demonology Today with them. And we were always together every time we went to Springfield.
Where's your
at this point, I used to love going to Springfield to see them, and now it's like it seems different when we go.
Yeah.
Well,
are you guys friends with the Johnson?
With Deb Johnson, we were.
Yeah.
No, from up there, up on the East Coast, the Carl Johnson.
Oh yes, I am, but I don't know them.
Right.
So they seem Carl and what's his brother's name?
Is it Keith?
Keith, yeah. They seem like really nice people. And Sandra seems really nice too.
Because those were the guys, Ron, that were brought in before the Warrens came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw them on TV at the Conjuring House with, was it Ghost Adventures?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to. I've been watching the Johnsons, both of them, for quite a few years, I think. Maybe 20.
Yeah. I know they've been around a long time.
And that gives an entirely different perspective to what we were talking about earlier too,
Yeah.
because there was a thing going on there too
Oh yeah.
at the same time. So,
Yeah.
Well, when it comes right down to it, the stories I've heard from Karen Smurl's family are amazing as well, which is also another Conjuring story that's going to be out there if it's not already. I don't watch horror
I think they're
movies,
talking to her.
so
They've been wanting to do a movie.
well,
I don't know
ever
if they
since
did.
Karen's dad died, it seems like they're in more need than they used to
Right.
be. But when I was doing the show with Ken and Farah, it was with Karen Smurl and Deb Johnson, so
Right.
I got to know their true stories from them personally a lot. But you know what? It was one of those things where I didn't ask a lot of questions to Deb and Karen about their stories because I didn't feel that it was the right atmosphere. You know what I mean? There's sometimes
Well,
where
they would let us know bits and pieces. They, we never asked them, bothered them or anything, but they would eventually come out and say things,
second and
little bit
third
here and
party information is just like, to me is no more. I
Yeah.
can't handle that anymore because it leads you down the wrong path.
Right.
Yeah, I want firsthand accounts.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, me saying I heard this is one thing, but me saying I interviewed this person and I get it right from the horse's mouth. I want the horse. I don't want the hay. I want the horse.
Yeah.
So, but
I
what?
agree.
We've got about 4 minutes left.
Uh-oh.
Here's bottle is.
Yeah, it's
Oh, here it is.
one more thing on the floor.
I can get him some chocolate milk.
So,
Yeah.
Oh,
so where can everybody find you, Greg?
Find me on my page, Greg Koss, or you can find me on the Shadow Hunters Paranormal page, Shadow Hunters Paranormal Investigations and Events page. Or you can find me on Red Eye Custom, but that's got nothing to do with this. That's musky fishing and
Oh, okay.
bait manufacturing and everything that I did in a previous life.
Well, now you're a different kind of bait.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I have a friend that I nicknamed him Bait, and he makes fly fishing lures.
Yeah.
But I named him Bait because we were using him for paranormal bait, and he loves it. He tells everybody that's his nickname, and because everybody gets a nickname from me. So
did you ever hear of Old Baraboo Inn?
Yes, I have. What's her name? A friend of mine wrote a book about it. She was on TV for it. Amanda.
Amanda.
Yeah. Well, she's from. Funny thing is she investigated my old house when she did it as an adult, and I lived there when I was a kid.
Oh, she was. I've been around her quite a few times too. But what I was going to say is that
I want a nickname.
that whole idea behind all that, and now I lost my train of thought.
They're trying to think of a nickname for Anthony.
But she is so nice though.
But we were talking about bait.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else I was saying before that.
Oh well, we've only got 2 minutes left anyway.
Yeah,
so.
it's dinner time, right?
Yeah, it is, and I'm tired of fighting with gel crayons and everything else at this point. So
it's been a pleasure being on here. I've had a great time with y'all, and
the good news is you've gotten to know Clover a little bit and seen her make artwork of everything, including now her face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. And like I said,
anytime, Greg.
We'll be getting together down the road here for sure.
So, well, everybody, please make sure that you join us in the new year. We're going to have a lot more shows, a lot more people on.
Even New Year's Eve.
And, Carl and I will be on New Year's Eve starting at 10 o'clock p.m. We are going to be talking about anything you want to talk about, anything we want to talk about. Just
If you
come
want
on.
to come on and talk to us, we'll send you a link.
Yeah, it'll be open mic night. So open mic, if you want to talk, this is it. And
Okay, good.
hopefully I won't have any little helpers.
I bet you do.
I bet I don't. I might have one.
Better
We
not.
may have to take
Ron's
bets for the
looking
next.
at you pretty
2 weeks.
strangely when you said that.
Yeah.
Well, she can't say no to them at all. That's the
Well,
problem.
you look like you were going to go in
Grandpa
and say, I'm
can,
not
though.
volunteering.
But anyway, everybody
love
check
everything.
out the Bill of Rights Network for all our shows and everything. And right after this show, in an hour, the Conservative View will be on. It's a special edition for Christmas, and all the hosts on the network are invited to come on to the show. So we're going to have a fun time after on that show.
I want to thank all the guys that are here just to see what I was going to say tonight. That's for
Right.
sure.
Everybody in the chat room, thank you very much. Share the show out. Join us each week here on Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. And we will see you next week. Have a good evening.
Denise,
All right.
Ron,
Merry
thank
Christmas.
you. Carl, thank you.
Yep.
Merry
No problem,
Christmas.
Greg.
Merry Christmas, Greg.